Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Days Between Us. I am joined today by Saba Samiei. She is the founder and CEO of Macso Technologies, which is a startup company, which you specialize in AI, right? And I should be knowing that. And and she has won a lot of awards as well in the same field. You've been having the company for 2 years, right?
Yeah, two and a half, nearly 3 years.
Nearly three
Yeah.
years, and within these 3 years, you've got a lot of achievements. Just to name a few: a woman in AI APAC Innovator of the Year 2023, woman in AI Agribusiness Winner 2023. Emerging leader ICT leader of the year in CIO Awards 2023. Is that right?
Two.
2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not 2023? No,
No.
no. 2022. But of course, her biggest achievement is being my sister. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank
How is
you.
everything?
Good. Yeah, good. Two companies. You missed one. It's okay.
And also, she has found, we've been practicing this for such a long time. Also, comfort. Okay, so when your achievements are a little bit too much, it gets a little bit tough. But also the founder of Comfort AI.
Yeah.
Would you be able to explain a little bit more on both of them? What does Maxo really do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Macso, founded in April 2021,
Yes.
is an AI startup dedicated to creating a platform that can kind of replicate the sensory part of a human brain. But what that means is we are creating a platform that can process different types of sensory inputs, audio, video, touch, smell, taste, mainly for early risk detection and prevention of major catastrophes. So we can go into some examples later if you want. And then Comfort AI is an educational company. I do workshops. Today we have one of Comfort employees here. Oh, I just woke it up. I might have to ask it to go back to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
And what's the name?
This is a Now robot by SoftBank Robotics.
Okay.
And
it's a boy or a girl?
Well,
what are the pronouns?
It does not have a gender, but
okay.
And I still need to program it, but I wanted to program it and name it Ada after Ada Lovelace.
Yes.
But yeah, so going back to Comfort is an education company, and I do workshops and trainings about artificial intelligence, as well as helping investors do due diligence on AI startups that they want to invest in.
That's great. And I think AI, it's a word that has been popping a lot recently.
Yeah.
In both good and bad terms. And one of the main focus of this podcast today would be just to have a better understanding of AI in good and bad, and where the AI direction is headed.
Yeah.
Now, Macso Technologies, the things that you focus on is having ethical AI and also using AI to help in different fields, right?
Yeah.
But we have been seeing a lot of AI being. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me put this one to sleep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
put it on. No, that's okay. That's okay.
Go to sleep.
Okay, nice to get some rest. See ya.
That is so cute. Oh my
Yeah, it
goodness.
has a limited audio range.
Yeah.
So you need to very directly talk to it, and sometimes they can be a bit loud, and obviously it needs a lot of programming and training. So let me just gently put its hand in a safe position. So there we go. All right.
Yep.
Back to AI.
Yes. So what is the main focus of Macso in AI right now?
Yeah, so as mentioned, early risk detection and prevention of major catastrophes. I think when I founded Macso, what was very important for me was to create an AI company that helps the sectors that are not digitally native. So they're not like tech sector. The reason for that was because I could see tech companies kind of growing at an exponential rate, and basically leaving everybody else behind. So I made it my mission to make a difference in that space. So anything with regards to agriculture, mining, manufacturing, even civil defense related cases like public safety.
Yeah.
Sort of use cases, smart cities, sometimes down the line. These are the type of use cases that I had in mind. Prevention of, large scale bushfires,
Yes.
not them happening, but,
Yep.
scaling. All of these are things in our environment that can be prevented if
Yes.
they're caught early enough.
Mm.
And so the reason we can't do that is we can't have humans that have all the five senses to operate everywhere 24/7.
Yes.
Right. So we can't have a human that, stays in a jungle just to monitor like bushfires. We can't have in agriculture farmers or stocks people that are in the barns 24/7 continuously listening or monitoring disease. And so what we're creating with Macso is we are a software company. So we are a pure AI company.
Yep.
We partner with hardware companies. We take their hardware, their sensor, and then what we do is we collect data, engineer data, and train models for what we call as applied artificial intelligence use cases, which is an AI that is not so much in an R&D phase, but more of an applied artificial intelligence case where it's solving a real problem in the world.
Just to stop you, it's a little bit complex with the way you try to explain, because a lot of people
Sorry.
that I wanna get the audience to
Yeah.
is they probably don't know what the R&D phase or applied artificial intelligence is.
Yeah.
So just to sum it up, what Maxwood really does is it takes data, and you guys train those data and put it in a hardware which you guys will partner up with, and then with that technology and that software that you have, which is trained to detect certain things such as bushfires or sickness in animals and so on, right? And even public safety.
Yeah, so sensor-based AI,
Sensors,
basically.
yeah. So all the five
So-
senses, we train it. It's like, so you're having a human kind of
Yeah,
taking care.
it's like having trained senses of
Yes.
humans that operate different
Yes.
operate in different environments 24/7.
But it's an intelligent human. It's not so like, say, sickness in animals, right? A lot of humans cannot just see one. They need to take a test.
trained. So
it will be completely
human
trained,
sense.
trained
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
senses, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at AI and the development that's happening, so far, how much have you achieved in this field regarding what you're trying to do, and how successful has it been to replicate the five senses of human beings and put it in an AI technology situation, and for it to give the information back to humans?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the first use case we went after was using AI-enabled audio sensors. So think about having a trained human ear.
Yes.
For respiratory health monitoring of swine on swine farms. And so we've done a lot of pilot studies. So the whole thing included collecting data from like China, New Zealand, US. And the pilot study that we've done shows that the farm that piloted our solution and the barns that they used our solution, they managed to reduce their death rate from an average of 4.8% per month down to 1.4%. So that is a significant death rate reduction, which has huge return on investment for the farmers. So that is one example. Another one is we have trained air quality monitoring sensors for detection of vape and smoke in the air. So for that, our target customer is, or our partner's target customer is schools or hospitals, hospitality, basically anywhere that vaping and smoking is prohibited.
Yes.
And the reason why we used AI in this sense, in this use case, is because obviously smoke, like cigarette smoke, is something that is quite noticeable.
Yes.
And a lot of people are now vaping instead, and those vaping particles cannot be detected by fire alarms, for example. They can be masked by a lot of things such as deodorant.
Yeah.
So we needed an intelligent sensor
To
that could identify the
Yes.
pollutant source. Exactly.
And that's it's a huge issue at the moment, because I've seen a lot of teenagers now. But the thing, the
Yeah.
difference between vaping and smoking is, with smoke you have to have a lighter, and the smell, once you start smoking, just travels all over. It stays all over you as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Other than that, like compared to vaping, you just smoke it. There's no smell in the room.
No.
There's
Exactly.
there's no smoke that stays for a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of teenagers at the moment, they have this issue in New Zealand as well, and in a
Yeah.
lot of other places. But New Zealand is what comes on the news, right? That they take the vapes to the washrooms when the
Yeah.
teachers are not there, and this is harmful for them. And then they all
Yeah.
just get excess, and then all the other things that they do with it as well, which is very dangerous for teenagers and even adults as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just the problem isn't just limited to the ones who vape, it's also the ones who don't, because they become side smokers.
Yes.
The reports have shown that a lot of students stop using the bathroom during recess, which means sometimes during the entire school time or school hour. So they wait to get home so they can feel safe to use the bathroom.
Why is that?
Well, it's either occupied or they feel bullied by the others who are in the bathroom and are vaping. And as a result, a lot of them have ended up with, kidney or bladder infection, obviously, because they're holding, their business for the entire
But it's not about the vaping.
time.
It's more about the bullying, right? In this situation.
Yeah, it's the consequence of
Consequences.
both. But
Yeah.
the vaping is if during recess they occupy the
Washrooms.
cubicles and they just vape there, and the other students who do not vape can't go in there.
Yeah.
Then they either have to miss classes to use the bathroom, or basically just not use them. And then of course that kind of brings in the whole bullying issue as well with some students, and also side vaping basically for the other ones, for the non-vapers. But I think what's important to know is that with this solution, us and our partner Pierre Systems, who's the company that manufactured those sensors and is selling them, the intention isn't for us to stop students from vaping, really. I think that's like more on the parents. The intention is to make the school a vape-free zone, so to stop them vaping in places that they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Same thing with like hotels and hospitals and any other place that you're not supposed to do something. You just want to have some sort of monitor to be able to detect that. Anyway, these are two examples of what we've done.
Yeah.
And then you can just basically take these two, and then sky's your limit in terms of what are the applications of the product.
So, and you've been successful with it as well. So the models have been proven to be working.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, this is something that I don't know if you know about this. Recently, the Taylor Swift, the singer, her pictures got uploaded on X, which used to be Twitter before, and it's all like her picture, which is nude, which is generated by AI. So AI has this capability to do all the good things, and also it's smart enough to distinguish between so and so. So in the hands of a person that wants to do something wrong, it can do disasters, right?
Yeah.
So the Taylor Swift scene was up on X for 17 hours. With 25,000, 24,000 reports on it, and after that it was taken away. So now it has become so easy for people to just generate, and then there is no consequence as well for the AI. Now, what is your take on situations like this where AI is being used in, like the situations
It's being
misused? Yes.
Yeah. So it's quite sad. So I started researching about AI before it became a thing, in the world. And back then, I think there were some early warning signs about it by Elon Musk or like Dr. Stephen Hawking. And then I started reading about it then, and then going to university and studying AI ethics. And obviously, the biggest issue is AI is growing at a much faster rate than any sort of legislation or regulation can keep up with. now I think that whole space is due for a disruption anyway, to basically help it speed things up. But also having been involved in some of those initiatives and having talked to some of the government officials, it is hard to regulate something that provides this much customization, right? I've always said AI's power sits in its rare ability to create customization at scale. So scaling and customization are two words that you would have never seen in the same sentence before. But with AI now you can. So let's say ChatGPT, for example, you can have, personalized ChatGPT. You can have a ChatGPT for your company, and so that is a massive power of personalizing that to what you want. And then obviously any sort of tool out there with this much easy public access has the potential to be misused.
Yeah.
Widely misused.
So
right?
what do you think can be, I mean, we know it can be misused, right?
Yeah.
And we know there are people that are going to profit a lot from it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the next World War III, if it happens, would have AI in it in a large scale. So what can be done right now from governments
Yeah.
to kind of control the development and at the same time giving enough tools for people like you to develop it in an ethical way?
Yeah, I think it is the government's yes, but I think at this point we need to introduce tech companies as a not a secondary, as in less important, but as a another regulatory body, right? So if a solution is being created by Microsoft or Google, they need to be held to account to put some sort of regulation around the use of that solution, right? And they need to be held to account to, provide access and the capability to be able to track who is using and misusing, the product that has been provided to the public. And if they do that, let's say for cybersecurity, for example, right? Once the cyber criminal is caught, there's consequences, right? That hasn't stopped it from happening, but that does have units dedicated to identifying who these individuals are. And as soon as they are identified, then there's consequences. There's jail, there is, financial burden, so on and so forth. And I think for AI, same thing needs to happen.
So AI is traceable.
If it's not, it has to be, is what I'm saying. Like, just anybody creating an unverified account should not be accepted. And
but that's the thing, it's so hard just because there's 6 billion people. You can't check each and every account, right? 8 billion people. Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to kind of regulate each and every account, and then to even regulate the people that are developing. Like, it's not something that a certain amount of people have the knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of people can just get the knowledge and then just start to develop.
I think it's not, it is hard. It's not impossible. But I think it's not so much how many people and how many users there are that makes it hard. It's more also the regulation around privacy, because the higher your security, the lower the privacy is, right? So let's say if I wanted to make my application extremely secure and traceable, then I could very easily use a facial recognition software to verify, every single user. But then that brings up the other issue that people have had with tech companies before, which is the privacy. What else are you going to use that data for? That was the whole, concept behind GDPR and what people's data was being used for.
Yes.
And if they had the option to permanently
Facebook,
delete
TikTok,
that, exactly, to permanently delete that later. So I think one of the reasons why things aren't moving as fast, and one of many reasons, is that probably there's no trust in a single body to come up with a holistic solution for everyone. But I think to address these sort of issues, we need to make it traceable back to, the culprit, the person or the account that originated, these images, or their deep fake videos going around. We have multiple elections coming up this year. I read, I think it was in The Economist magazine the other day, where this year 4.2 billion people in the world are going to be eligible to vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's, not nearly, it's just over half the population of the world is eligible to vote with all the elections that are going on. US being one of them, and then Iran is another one, and there's quite a few others as well. And I think the scarier part is now, what are those deep fake, videos or accounts, fake accounts, and
Yes.
all of those going to do, and how are they going to swing all of these elections? And I think, unfortunately, after we saw what happened with Facebook and the previous elections in the US, and some of the information that came out of what was that, the company behind Facebook, not anyway, the name will come to me. I think between then and now, let's say it's been almost 8 years, and I'm not sure if enough has been done to make sure that the same thing does not happen again. And I think that's kind of like the disappointing part.
Yeah. And it has become a little bit scary as well in certain aspects. So like right now, AI can listen to a voice for 3 to 4 seconds and it can replicate it.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, just like a robber, a scammer, how they send emails right now, they can just literally call you with your family's voice, tell them that you're in danger, you have to send certain amount of money, and then there is no way for humans to be able to detect the difference.
Yeah.
So I'm on YouTube, I've seen videos of Joe Rogan, and I'm listening halfway, and then I realize it's an advertisement about a product.
Yeah.
And then I realize,
I've seen
okay,
that too,
and I'm like, oh, it's just so real. Even with the pictures.
Yeah.
Now people can take picture of someone they know and then literally put it on a content that is explicit, and no one would even know about it. You can't even tell the difference.
Yeah.
So if it's traceable, you can punish the people that are doing certain things wrong. But to get it traceable, you need to have access to people's
certain
information, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with this is also people, like say the governments, if they do get access, like say for example, do you think that the governments should be able to track faces and have information so that they would know like a fugitive is in a certain place, and then people would just get a message just because they can use the AI tracking face technology? Do you think something like this is good? And also, what can be the consequences?
No, I don't. Like, if governments want to do that, they need to develop a software for that particular purpose, and have their own sort of database and regulation and everything around it. What I don't think should happen is governments forcing the tech companies to provide certain information about people, which they do sometimes, and it is helpful. But there have been times, there's a really good book called Tools and Weapons by Brad Smith of Microsoft, where he talks about certain examples where, government was asking Microsoft for information about, individuals, and then obviously they didn't provide them because they didn't think there was a reason for that. So, traceability of fugitives, while it's a concept that sounds good, we are talking about potentially a vision AI solution at this point. And it's very important to note that a lot of these vision AI solutions that have been produced in the past have been extremely biased because of the lack of data from certain groups of people. And should somebody attempt to create a solution like that, then I think that process of creation of an AI of this scale for this purpose needs to be regulated, and certain processes need to be put in place. Like, for example, when we collect data at Macso for our models that we generate, before we train the model, we basically provide certain statistics of that data.
Yeah.
We had a use case for a customer where they wanted to detect certain keywords on the edge. And while this is not a safety use case, it was an edge-based use case, which meant, that watch or whatever they were going to use was going to be private. So it wasn't going to like send any other data out to the cloud. Anyway, so we did a whole data collection exercise for that use case. And then we looked at the data. We looked at the age. And it was for China. So we looked at the age of the people. We looked at the accent. So which part of China were they from? And then we looked at male and female, and then we deliberately did not collect any personally identifiable data. There was no name, surname, no email address, nothing, right? But using that statistics, what we were able to do is go back to the client and say, you lack data from people of this region, and therefore this accent may not be able to, people with this accent may not be able to use your solution properly, right? Yeah. And then we also realized that people below and above a certain age were missing from the data set. And so we said, to your young audience or young users will not be able to use it. And same with, your population, like, for example, about 55, right? Because voice signatures can sometimes change with age. And so for anything that is related to, public use, and especially when it comes to, like, a detection of a fugitive, then it's very, very important to, take it through a proper process to understand what are the parameters that are introduced.
But the problem here is, okay, so it all sounds amazing, right? So we got to put this in place and that in place. But the problem that comes in is when the government is involved, we have seen a lot of other governments in different countries are not ethical. So the same way we can get a fugitive, they can just identify, say, protesters, people who are against them, and then punish them in how they want using the same technology, right? And then governments cannot be regulated because the regulations are done by the governments, right? So is there a solution where, so say we had Windows and we had a virus and then we had the antivirus. So do we need to develop an anti-AI against AI to be able to control what certain bodies can do?
Yeah, I think so. This goes back again, like if you do that, let's say if you have an anti-AI, then there's nothing stopping the actual fugitives from using that, right? So it kind of goes back in a loop. And I think in my view, it goes back to the point I raised. There should not be a single regulatory body. Like it shouldn't be all governments or all tech companies or all. I think there should be multiple bodies, governing bodies, when it comes to regulating AI, so that, a tech company does not develop an AI if it's not within certain parameters for a government use, of a particular use case. So if we have these sort of things, then we would probably take one step closer to that more ethical. Yeah. But there's also like some governments, some certain dictatorships around the world, you just can't stop them from doing that. So then 100%. that's very unfortunate. Yeah.
But in your like with the experience that you've had so far in the field of AI, are you excited about the future of AI, or there is a little bit of fear, which of course must be there for you, especially you guys that know exactly what's happening inside? How do you feel about the future of AI?
Yeah, I think I feel excited and scared about it at the same time. I think I'm excited by the potential that it has, and being an idealist, I always imagine the world where, accidents are reduced to a zero, pandemics are reduced because we have early disease detection, and that's pandemics and humans, animals, plants, and AI, and a future where, we are in better service of our environment, not control, but service of the environment, where we can understand what's going on around us better. A future where we can help people kind of travel to other planets, explore deep oceans, all of those stuff is
especially detecting cancer. Now that's something that I've been reading a lot, that AI is helping to detect cancer in early stage.
Any sort of, whether it's cancer or Alzheimer's or anything at early stages that can be prevented or cured, right? But then on the flip side, I can also imagine a a world where we have autonomous weapon systems that have very, dangerous in this sense is like biased sort of AI models, that it's going to be an AI on AI war, or whoever has the stronger AI is, the person that has the loudest voice in the world, and it can also bring a lot of control to certain dictators, and bring with itself oppression, all that sort of thing. So that aspect of it actually scares me.
But how easy is it? How easy is it for people right now to create that? So with your technology, you've been successful till now to be able to detect diseases, to be able to detect smokes and vapes.
Yeah.
So how easy is it for, say, tomorrow, a country to develop that technology and implement it by, say, next year?
The hardest part of creating AI technologies is not so much the AI algorithms themselves, though. It's the process of collecting and engineering data. So I think a lot of just by the nature of how our internet and how our society operates, there is a lot of human-related data. So whether that's like facial, voice.
So how available is this data right now?
It depends available to who, right? Like Google is available to everybody, so we can like download a whole bunch of pictures,
data, yes.
right? But passport photos are probably only available to the government, so they can then develop things.
So a
with
government
their data.
body right now,
Yeah.
within the next year, if they want to, how easy is it for them to create a model of AI where they can actually literally scan everybody and have everything in control? I think it's already...
Well, I mean, passport controls are now almost, they have facial recognition, right? So it's there, and it's there for a good purpose because, it's convenience, less lines, more accurate kind of reading.
Yes.
Can they take that same data and create something harmful with it? Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think governments themselves do that. They probably like contract tech companies.
Yeah, but how easy is it?
It's very easy.
It's easy.
It's very easy.
So,
if you have the data, it's very easy to create malicious.
Yeah. So it's all about having the data.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and also
and also a hardware or something that you can implement it with. Yeah.
100%. And some certain things that I've seen also on the flip side, which is AI has been helping a lot of people in their jobs as well recently. Say, for example, artists, even though a lot of people are scared in the field of art that are losing their jobs, but we are seeing in Photoshop or different softwares that AI is actually helping to speed up the process.
Yeah.
So it's great that it's helping, but do you see in the near future certain jobs are going to go away because of AI, and then maybe other jobs will be created because of AI? And do you have any jobs that you kind of feel like, okay, that field is a field where AI is really excelling in, and probably the people in that field need to kind of like think about another career path? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the field that AI is really excelling in is healthcare. As of 2018, I acknowledge this is old data, when I was doing my studies, about 33% of AI investments going to healthcare related use cases. That doesn't, however, put any healthcare jobs at risk. I think it complements them. But the other kind of jobs that could potentially be at the risk of being lost or reduced or changed, anything with regards to repetitive tasks. So, certain works of accountants, assistants, payroll, all of those things could be impacted. But I think, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's going to be a lot of new opportunities for people to pursue. And usually people who ask me, okay, well, how am I going to, build up a career, like say teenagers, for example, right now, my biggest recommendation to everybody is that find something you like, whether it's like healthcare or finance or art, for example, and then do a double major and do AI on the side. Because these sort of skill sets where you can bring the two fields together are the ones that are going to be needed the most. let's say, for example, for us, right, when we wanted to create that air quality monitoring sensor, the brain behind that is a guy who's an aerosol physicist, but also trained as a machine learning engineer. So he managed to bring the two worlds together. Our head of machine learning is now working on a music related use case, and he happens to also be a drummer.
Yeah.
Right. So he brought that and AI together, law and AI, healthcare and AI, any sort of these two things, psychology and AI, any sort of these majors where you can bring the two worlds together are going to be absolute winners for, I would say, the near term, being like the next about 10 to 15 years as AI is developing. And then after that, I'm pretty sure people are going to come up with more creative ways and more creative jobs.
But the thing is, like, say, for example, an artist now can just replicate their voice through AI, right? And then they can literally have the AI sing the songs for them, even write the lyrics for them. Now, this is taking the human creativity a little bit away, right? So if we want to infuse these two, sometimes they can go against each other. So will there be, say, in the future, a version where you have to pay less for a song because it's AI generated, or a movie which is like the actor sold their facial like structure, and everything is done through AI, and we as humans won't be able to tell the difference, and the actor gets paid less because they don't have to do anything. He just have to sell his face and facial structures. So do you think this can be a future where it will be like AI version of movie, AI version of music, and if you want to watch the real one with the real actor, you've got to pay extra?
Quite possibly. I think with anything that AI replaces for humans, anything that people value, it's obviously not repetitive tasks, but anything such as art, for example. For us, art isn't so much about, we watch a movie because, sometimes it has a message. But a lot of times we also go to see the actor or the actress.
Yeah, but we can't tell the difference now.
Yeah, but what I think will happen with these sort of situations is there will be a bit of fear, then it will turn into excitement, then it will turn into boredom, and then there would be the next wave of creativity by humans. And yes, I do think that anything AI generated over time is going to be cheaper. But what that means is it's just going to put a premium on anything human generated. Think about rugs, for example. After the Industrial Revolution, we now have Persian rugs that are machine made. They are beautiful in design. They are flawless. They are super comfortable. They are durable, and they are cheap. But we would still save money to go and buy a handmade Persian rug for tens of thousands of dollars. Why? Not because it's flawless, and not because, it has, a nice design, which it does, but because it's been made by hand and by a human, right?
Yes.
So I think that over time, even if that happens, yes, it will, but it will just put a premium on humans.
Yes, same thing. Like, I am in jewelry business, so we have lab created diamonds and natural diamonds, and a lot of people prefer the natural diamonds.
Yeah.
Even though
they look the same, really.
They are exactly the same.
Yeah.
Same character. The real diamonds are just created in lab, and one is created in just like underneath.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, some people are like, oh, I really like something that's made in lab. And then others are like, I really want a natural one when it was like thick. So this can also be something like we would put a premium on human beings, which is a great thing. But do you think AI can be held accountable?
AI itself can't, but the creators can. Yes. Yeah.
So
the company that created it can.
Now the reason I ask is, say, of course there's going to be a company behind everything, right? But say it gets to a point where we can have lawyers who are AI, where there's no emotions involved, where there's no tricks involved, and through data that they have collected over millions, not millions of years, but thousands of years. Yeah, there was no lawyers at the time.
Or decades.
Yeah, decades. Or decades. Yeah. Back in Adam and Eve time. Yeah. When the lawyer was...
Yeah.
Millions. Yeah. Decades. So
in the future.
in
decades,
the future, yeah. then they would be able to decide someone's fate, and then another person cannot be saying that, okay, that was unethical, or that was, or blame another human being or put their life in danger. Like a lot of, so it's like a lot of the
Yeah.
people in the court are. Do you think that's ethical? Should we have law AI as people like AI as
Lawyers or
not lawyers,
judges.
the judges? Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we have AI as judges who can decide a human being's future?
Well, the thing you need to keep in mind is that for a technology to replace humans, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be better than a human, right? And we can't say with certainty that judges don't come with their own biases, and some of them, with all due respect, don't come with subjectivity or unfairness, whether that's a lawyer or a judge. Hopefully most of them do,
Yeah.
but we do know that a lot of them don't as well, right? And there was a study done. So there was a program that was built for U.S. law enforcement where it was helping, not replacing, but helping judges to make, unbiased decisions for defendants. And then a company came and did an audit on 7,000 of the use cases, and they realized that AI was actually quite biased against the black defendants, and it was giving them harsher, longer sentences. And when they looked at the parameters of that AI algorithm, they noticed that race wasn't even a parameter in that AI algorithm. But they realized that the data that it had been fed from, real life use cases was biased.
Oh, wow.
And that bias was created by the lawyers, by the judges, by that, legal system. And all AI did was just surface that faster and at a much larger scale, right?
So AI is a great replicator.
It's a
of all
great
the things
replicator.
that have
Exactly.
happened, yeah.
It's a mirror. It's a huge mirror that basically puts everything in front of you and says, this is who you are, because you are who I have learned from, right?
But it's also like a child, so it depends on what the parents have been trained the
Exactly.
AI. It would literally make decisions based on
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
So it would give harsher sentences to people of color
Exactly.
because it was trained
on
on
biased
data.
data.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the data that's out there needs to be controlled as well.
It needs to be cleaned up. Exactly. So back to my previous point. So look at where the data comes from when you are training an AI model. Think about your use case. Think about the diversity of data that is required for you to create an unbiased model. If you don't have it, then go collect it, but do not deploy the model before you're sure that you
Sure.
have that, especially for something like deciding somebody's faith. Now, one could argue that, delaying this use case would have also delayed understanding that there was bias in that data.
True.
But that doesn't take away the fact that there were many people who were misjudged.
But who did the regulation?
No one did the regulation. Somebody did an audit. Yeah, somebody did an audit. So they basically took 7,000 random cases, and they went through it, and that was their finding.
Is there, like, this is very interesting. Is there any other example of how AI has been trained and the outcome was because of certain things?
Yeah, so AWS, I think, so AWS used an AI HR basically to choose resumes for technical roles, and they realized that it was selecting male applicants over female. And then there was also a story, I think it was either resolved or taken down like quite early. It was a few years ago that I read about Apple that started issuing credit cards, and it started giving male applicants higher credit than female applicants.
So you're telling me tomorrow I'm going to get an email when I apply for a job that says, thank you so much for sending us your resume. Our AI has decided that you're not qualified enough for this job.
Even though won't tell you it's an AI, but
and since our AI has not, wow. But so now you see a human interaction would of course hurt more. Whereas an AI or a robot, you would just say, even though it's developed by people, you would just feel a little bit less. So there's a human connection that's always there. What do you feel about human connections of AI and like the human connection between AI and humans? So like say for example, we have a lot of people at the moment who are don't have a girlfriend, all right? And certain people are not in the world standards are just not qualified enough to not saying qualified enough, but in the eyes of people they just look different.
Yeah.
Now these people would still need love. These people would still need, you know, someone to connect to. Do you think AI is good to also be able to replace the human connections and emotions, or is it gonna backfire and then half the people will have just robots which they can program, which wouldn't complain, wouldn't talk, wouldn't eat, don't have to buy anything for, and then but they would get the same outcome as a human being.
Look, I mean, I'm not a futurist, and I think this would then come down to like predicting a future. There are 8 billion people in the world,
Sure.
so sure, some of them are going to find comfort, you know, in basically a synthetic being. We've seen people already getting married to virtual characters, and I think there are also going to be people who are like, no, they would still want to have a human connection. I think AI has a long way to go to start showing emotion and empathy. And obviously it's going to mimic it, so it's not going to be real. So then it depends on the user, how comfortable they are accepting the fact that what they're seeing from this entity is not actual real or human emotion, right? Who's to say that we're not mimicking it, right? But I think the possibility of that is a lot greater for future generations. There was a quote I read a while ago where technology is anything that did not exist when you were born, right? And so think about how many things you and I call technology these days that a baby that's born today is not going to call technology anymore. And so a lot of the future generations, when they grow up around these things already. So I think it's you and I basically thinking about, oh, but what are people going to feel? And, you know, for our grandparents, probably the thought of kids never going out and playing with each other was, oh my God, are they ever going to accept just being tied to a screen? Whereas it's just a given these days. It's not good, but it is given. Like everybody, you know, most kids and teenagers are basically tied to their phone as opposed to like interacting in person and talking to each other. And that is a danger, right? It needs to be prevented. So is it a possibility? Yes. But I hope that, you know, certain trainings are done for that next generation about the consequences of, you know, people can have a choice, yes, but I think they just need to understand the consequences of the choice either way, and then be free to choose whatever they think would fit them best.
To be honest, I feel like this one is it's a little bit sad. You know,
it is
like
sad.
I don't think this one should be, you know, for it to be. I mean, again, it goes both ways, right? On how they're gonna train it, and then, for the people who don't have access to certain things.
I mean,
you know?
then there are people that have extremely reserved personalities, or there are people that have certain, you know, issues interacting with the society, and I think for them, maybe some sort of an AI companion is not such a bad thing, because, you know, then you're reducing depression and you know, the risk of certain actions that are brought on by mental health issues on those people. I think the problem would then arise if everybody, you know, wanted that robot as a spouse, and
well, if
you
it
know,
does
and
get as
then-
good as human beings, so say it looks like a human being, it acts like a human being, and you can't tell the difference anymore, I do feel like a lot of people would just go through with it.
Probably, I think, but I think that's, I don't know, I can't speak, but probably like future generations. Like personally, I would never. But maybe that's also because I'm involved in the making process.
But I also feel like that would decrease the population a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That it can end a civilization just because people
if it gets very extreme. Well, they have to ban the. But there are other things that the nuclear war can do that too, right?
But I like there's a balance scale when it comes to AI. So say for example something like that gets a lot, and then so it kind of makes people want to meet a real human being. You know, so the efforts of actually meeting someone who is an actual human being becomes way more than just being with robots, just because
Yeah,
it has
maybe
become a lot.
maybe
So
it creates
it's
like
like
a
a
hype
higher
and then goes
hype,
back
yeah.
down, and yeah,
Which
you
is
never
great.
know. It's the
Yeah.
future. We don't know.
Well, it's really interesting. I think we can go for hours talking
Yeah.
about it, and also how good it is, especially when you can have another human being, a mirror of an excellent trained model to be helping you. Um, Also, the same can go exactly against you.
Yeah.
So to have a completely trained robot. So I just hope in the future there will be certain, especially by the governments, there will be certain regulations that's kept in place where things are controlled. Also by third-party companies where they do that's their job to make sure AI companies and AI in developments in the country stays within
Yeah.
the limits that it should. And also the data that's being collected by big social media companies
Mhm.
is not given, or at least we have the option where you can't share everything. So because that's where the data actually really exists, right?
Yeah.
Also, can you introduce us to your robot?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of robots as companions, but
Now, what's the difference
Yeah.
between this robot
Yeah.
and any robots, and why is it? How much is this one?
it's a bit of an investment.
It's an invest. So why? I mean, I can buy something that looks like this for like the toys, right? So what's
Yeah.
the difference between this robot?
So this one is actually quite advanced. So it can speak in different languages. You can play to do certain things. It can dance, play football, grab objects, draw. It has facial recognition. It has sensors basically everywhere. It has 4 sensors in his feet, and tactile sensors on the hand. Yeah, as you can see. And then there's sensors here as well. So I'm not going to touch it because if I do, I'll wake it up again. And then it has a sonar sensor here as well for obstacle detection. So it's programmable. So it's
programmable.
It's programmable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can
So you can program it that when I come to the house, it would just not like me at all.
probably I
Yeah.
can do that. Yeah.
You can
like punch
yeah,
you
or
in
punch you
the-
or something,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And
You
also
can.
can recognize face.
It can. You need to train it with
Train it.
different. Yeah. So I need to you need to come over, and then I need to put your name in there,
Yeah.
and then I need to introduce you. It has 2 cameras on the top and the bottom, so it has quite a wide view range.
And that data is just for you. It's not shared for anybody
The
else.
data gets stored in my SoftBank Robotics account.
Okay.
And a program that I've downloaded called Choreograph.
Yeah.
That is the program that I use to program this thing here. The name is now NAO. I am going to change its name to Ada after Ada Lovelace. But
Sorry.
so far, every time I've changed this name to Ada, and I say, "Okay, what's your name?" So it's Ada, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out
Yeah.
how to give it like phonetics.
So has it ever? So we watch a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
Has it ever happened that the robot recognized a face, like, well, it was just like on its own?
Yeah, it did actually.
For real?
Yeah. So what happens is that when you turn it on, it keeps looking around, and sometimes with the sound, like it turns its head, and but it keeps looking around just to kind of monitor its environment, and then its eyes go like half pink, like a quarter pink when it recognizes a human, and sometimes I see it just go pink when it's like looking at like a random location where nobody's there. But I think that's more of a false positive than a ghost.
Ah, shit. I was excited. So
Yeah, sorry.
are we able to see anything
In
today?
action, yeah, absolutely. Let's wake it up. So
All right.
hello,
Hello.
how are you? How are you?
I'm super good. Thanks. And you? How are you?
I'm good.
So both of us are doing really good.
Yes, we are. What's your name? What's your name? What is your name?
I'll tell you again. My name is Now.
Okay, since I tell you again, because I've already asked it so it remembers that I've asked its name before. And
Yeah, yeah.
Like, well, I'll tell you again.
Yeah, so-
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
Oh, so it's very. Did you program it to say 18?
No, so this
No.
is like its default.
Default. So it's a legal. It's not gonna say I'm a 5-year-old. It's 18 years old.
Yeah, it
Okay.
could be that, or it could just be that they've been making them for about 18. But yeah.
I think more is more
Probably
like
illegal,
a
yeah.
legal thing, right? Yeah.
Who made you? Who made you?
I was created at SoftBank Robotics in Paris.
What can you do?
I can sing if you want me to, or we can just have a talk.
Can you sing?
I don't know many songs yet, but yes. Do you want me to sing something?
Yes.
Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X,
This is so
Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me?
So you can
That's
literally
it.
like sing music and put music. Like I say, I want to hear a Drake song, and then it would just start to sing a Drake song.
Well, I need to try and see
Yeah.
like what are the limits, but it can also dance. And
But what if you ask it controversial, like you ask what are your pronouns? What it would say?
it right now nothing because
Okay.
it's not programmed to. So it has speech recognition,
Yeah.
but it doesn't know the word pronoun right
Oh, okay,
now.
so,
But you can. So are you a girl or a boy? Are you a girl or a boy?
Well, in the end, I'm just a robot.
Well, it
Yeah.
it knows how to answer the question, so it doesn't
Yeah.
get cancelled.
Yeah.
In the end, I'm just a robot.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
No, I don't have any siblings, but I have two cool buddies, Pepper and Romeo.
So is Pepper and Romeo someone that?
So Pepper and Romeo are the two other robots made by SoftBank Robotics.
Oh, okay.
And so it knows that, and I like it's quite intelligent because it knows I'm a human and I'm talking, and so the sound is coming from here, and so it turns its head.
Head
But
to where the
if you
sound
clap,
comes.
I'm gonna go quiet. Clap that way.
Yep.
And see. No, louder.
Hello. What is your name?
There.
What is your name? I think it's because it's not connected to the Wi-Fi.
It
It's-
is, but also I think I grabbed. It's now it knows there's a human
Okay,
here.
so should I touch it? Can I touch
No.
it? I can't touch it?
You can touch it, but don't
It's
turn its
18.
head.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
like-
touch it.
I just want to see if it recognizes like I'm here. Hello? Hello? I think the robot... I think probably the robot is in love with you.
Probably, it's my
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it can at some point. Now, right now, obviously, it's not connected to the internet, so I can't run any of the programs that
Yes.
I have.
And we tried to connect it to the internet, but just
We
couldn't.
tried,
at the
I
moment,
need to set it up on my my phone.
Yeah.
You can probably ask it to stand up.
Can you, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
you just move that.
move this
Want
one.
me to stand up?
Don't want you to fall.
All right, here I come.
Yes. Okay, go on.
Oh, okay. Gotta pull it back a little bit. Oh my goodness. That's the pose as well. Wait, well done. That was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys can see me. Yeah.
No, wait. Maybe I can move it a bit here.
Yeah.
So
That was really cool. That was
here
really
now
cool.
you can grab probably its attention.
Hi. Hello. Hi.
No, you need to speak at
Oh,
it.
like
It has
at
a
it?
very limited range of audio.
Hi.
Oh, there you go.
How are
So-
you? I can see. How are you doing?
Very fine. Thanks.
Oh,
Thank
finally.
you. How goes it?
Do you know who I am?
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, so Steve
Yeah.
does it sometimes. No?
So what do you
Kinda.
think about AI? It doesn't know. Yeah. But it's really cool. Can you take a seat Can you take a sit? How do you say it? Can you sit down for me, please?
You want it to sit down. It needs to go. Hey, now.
Oh, so
Sit down.
So it recognizes your voice way more than. Is it because it's used to your voice?
Maybe. I think it has some sort of neural network because I have, like, in the beginning, I had to repeat things a lot more. And now it does. I'm not sure. But I do know. So obviously, when I talk, I go a lot louder. And I go a lot clearer. So, hey, now. Sit down. See, now it doesn't. So if you say it.
Can you please sit down?
Are its eyes blue? Yeah, they are. So.
Can you
I
please
feel very good. Thanks.
Yeah. Can you please sit down?
No, don't say can you please. Just say sit down.
Oh, sit down. I was like, don't be polite. I don't know why I feel like I'm talking to a real. I feel like I'm talking to a real human. I mean, you can't see me right now, but I really feel like I'm literally being looked at. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
it does.
I don't feel like it's a robot. I feel like it's a human being. Well,
yeah, it's
let me try again.
Okay.
Sit down.
Do you want me to sit?
Yes.
Okay, give me a second.
That is cool. That is really cool. Oh my goodness. Just don't fall.
Nah, it's.
No, that is really cool. So this is like a completely programmable robot. Well done.
There we go.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
Worth the money. It can stand up and sit down. What else do you want? Yeah.
It can walk. It can.
AI has really advanced. You know, like.
Oh, it's funny you say that because in the field of robotics, like we take a lot of things for granted, like running, grabbing objects, recognizing which direction the sound comes from, going up and down the stairs. And those are actually very difficult things to program in a mechanical being.
Yeah.
And I think credit to SoftBank Robotics and their team because they have done a great job with now robots.
Well, I hope for the next episode, we would be able to see the programmable version, like programmed version of the robot and all the capabilities that it has, and all. I
think for anyone who is interested in that, if they just follow my Comfort.ai or Comfort AI account on Instagram or YouTube.
Will you be posting?
I will be posting
on LinkedIn as well, right?
Different. Of course, yes, LinkedIn.
Well. Yeah.
I will be posting different things that I code in it and different things that it does.
So for the people who are interested, I would put the information. I will put the information under the links. So if you get the time, it would be really cool to subscribe. Make sure you see what the robot really does, and I'm really looking forward because like it's a really cool experience, to be honest, to see something like this, kind of seeing what the future is, and it's just like it's comforting though. Yeah,
right now it's being used in education a lot, especially for kids with autism.
Yeah.
And so it's been quite successful that way. In healthcare, I know not the specific robot, but
other robots as well.
It's other robots, yeah. It's a good kind of companion education kind of tool. So obviously this one's not going to replace anybody, but I think it would be a great teacher aid if you want to call it that way.
That is really nice. Anyways, any closing? Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time out. I know this is the second time we've done this.
Yeah.
The first time it was good. It was great. It was too good. So we just didn't want to go too good.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for taking the time out again. I think it's much interesting today as well with the robots, and I would look forward to seeing more.
Sure.
Again, any closing remarks for us
No,
about
thank
AI,
you.
future, anything?
Thank you for having me, and I think in all of my podcasts and interviews and everything, I always encourage people to educate themselves as much as they can about artificial intelligence, because that way you can make better decisions, whether you're the end user, whether you're an investor, whether you're an engineer, whether you're in a regulation or regulatory body, whatever whatever you do, you are going to come across AI, so better be educated about it.
Thank you so much. That was really nice. And we've come to the end of the show. First episode. I just want to tell you a little bit about Beyond Stories. So it's really about interesting stories. Free, of course. Anyone who likes to come on board, please just email me. I would love to know more about everyone, and you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be anybody. Just need to have a nice story to tell. And I would be really happy to be able to listen to people's nice stories and just see how the world goes. And thank you. If you have watched, I know it's the first episode, but if you have watched, well, thank you so much. And then hopefully I'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.